Everybody's as it is.
Jam stall, jam stall. Fig jam, fig and ginger. Whoa. Lemon butter.
Welcome back to the second session of the 2018 Australian National Billiards titles. We currently we have a score of Matthew Bolton 704, Steve Mifsud on 154. Matthew's at a table on a break of 136, and we're joined in the commentary by Neil Bolton. Welcome, Neil.
Thanks, Grant.
Neil's been enjoying his morning sitting in the cafe next door, listening to the commentary. It's a tradition of Neil's not to watch the first session. Bit of superstition there, Neil?
Yeah, a little bit of superstition. You do these funny things. Father, the guy that's
Current situation, Matthew Bolton leads 705, Steve Mifsud 154.
Scott David
Matthew is currently in play on 137, unfinished. The referee, Kim Isaac, will now take over. Thank you very much.
So we've got Kim Ovett refereeing a second session. Kim's done a great job this weekend. Have you been lucky enough to have Kim ref a match for you, Neil?
I have, and full credit to Kim. Taking on billiards refereeing is not easy, and she's done a great job. So happy for her to get the final.
So Matthew continues his break here after the interval. Great opening position. It's just checking the red spot there and seeing if that spot's not the best start to the session.
Might have forgot they just on the table and it's a bit warm and it's just run an extra couple of centimetres. However, there's a couple of options you can take on here.
So this should be a good second session. The room is warmed up and the table's been ironed. Probably the best conditions of the day to play billiards this time of day. That's not too bad considering. What does spot? Okay. Sometimes hard to pick up the red spot on the commentary.
I'd be happy he got out of that because it was a bit yucky.
Yeah, I think he's missed the cannon there, Neil. He's
No, he's got it.
he got it, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't miss them, Grant.
Yeah. It's a bit of yeah.
No, I thought he definitely pulled. Definitely the white came off it. Yeah, we can check it here.
It's pretty close. It looks. So we've just stopped the clock. We're going to have a look at this. Kim's coming to have a closer look at this cannon. Technology, Dan's just zooming in behind the scenes and we're going to have a look. So just bear with us. Yep.
It was. What's the decision? What was it?
I think she's called a cannon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, controversial start.
It's tough for a referee to see the cannons, especially like that. The balls are travelling at pace. She's done well to pick that up.
And full credit to Kim to come in and have a look at the technology.
Exactly, yeah.
152.
That's what it's there for.
Interesting already, that ball's running on further. That little shot he just played then, he didn't mean to get that red back there that far. Different conditions, so had a chat to Matt in the break. He said it was very tricky early on with the dampness and
Yeah.
determined to keep the game very simple.
It's one thing you have to do when you sort of start the day, I think, is keep the game simple, play some in-offs, don't take too many tricky shots on and just work your way into the match.
Yep, absolutely.
Both players were left with some, that's a bad miss. Both players were left with some quite tricky pots early in the game and struggled to get through the ball.
Yes, and they played themselves out of position very quickly when they did get in. They both had chances early on. I think the balls didn't quite land where they thought they would. Big shot here, Steve.
Yeah, he just made sure of that. Steve.
Where are they going to go?
Steve spent the interval on the practice table. He hasn't had much table time this morning, so he spent his hour break on the practice table, getting the arm going.
That sounded a bit ordinary.
Yeah.
The contact.
Mifsud, 2.
Just checking the tip there.
Matthew may take the long pot on here, down the ball corner. It's a big get-in shot if that's what he elects to do.
Has Matthew spent much time practicing there before coming down here on the table at home?
Plenty of time on the snooker side of it,
Yeah.
but certainly the billiards side, he has lacked the time. It's had snooker tournaments on,
Yeah.
and he would be first to say that he's somewhat underprepared, and I think we've seen that throughout the championship.
Yeah,
We haven't seen the amount of big breaks from him. However, he did show some form yesterday, and he's probably got a big one tucked in there somewhere.
Yeah. So your table at home there, you've upgraded to the star table. How are you finding that compared to the old table you had there?
It took me a month to pot a ball on it, that's for sure. It's exceptionally fast, and the pockets are very tight, but that's what the pros are playing on every day of the week.
Yeah.
First thing I found when we came over here, a lot more fur on the nap, and the pockets all looked far more generous. So there's a bit of adaptation there for him, but he doesn't take long to adapt.
Yeah. So Steve's got the red in play here. He'll be looking to get that yellow ball back in play fairly shortly. He'll be looking to take a pot on and leave it in off on the opponent's ball.
Yeah, a real opportunity for him here to settle in.
Yeah.
A few easy half balls.
6.
Get rid of those demons that must have been going through his head in the first session.
He might look at playing a couple of pots here and getting the red on the centre spot first before taking it off. Appears to be what he's doing. So Steve looking to pot the red ball twice off the spot here, getting the red onto the centre spot, then playing it in off on the opponent's ball and obviously having in hand. He's over.
It'll be interesting to see what happens here, because if he leaves himself a long loser off the red, that's suddenly the level of difficulty's gone up.
Yeah.
If he leaves himself a cannon, he's not going to play the long loser from there, is he?
No. Steve's had to play that with a touch of left-hand side there. It was a narrow angle. And he's left a good position here.
Yep, played it well.
So he'll be looking at coming underneath that yellow and pushing the yellow towards the spot, which he's done. Let's see how he goes with the result here.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, coming back, the intention of pushing that yellow one close to the red spot.
Yeah.
May have made it a little bit awkward. It's a bit hard to tell on the screen here.
He plays these
Yeah.
shots quite well, Stevie.
23.
Bit more reactive than it was.
Yeah. And Matthew early missed that screwing off with the cloth reacting quite heavily.
Such a fine line of controlling those balls properly in that contact again. He's got away with this, but he was hoping to get that red quarter ball.
So how have you enjoyed your week, Neil? You've mixed results.
Been great. My results are the biggest result I get is the enjoyment of still coming along and seeing
Yeah.
people I've known for a couple of decades. It's been fantastic. And I've been here for 2 weeks because I played in the snooker as well as the 150 up billiards, and so I'm nearly acclimatised to the Melbourne weather.
Yeah, you're almost a citizen. You've been here that long.
Yeah, the weather's set in. We could be stuck here for a while. Although lovely blue sky out there today.
Mm. So Steve's still giving the balls a fair whack around the table, trying to obtain position. That's a bit heavy. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, Steve's he plays loose and free. And the balls run a fair distance at
Yeah.
times, and he's paid the price a little bit so far.
36.
Yeah, it's hard to play like that, especially when the table isn't playing as fast as it should be.
Mm.
So I think Steve's just checking an angle there for a drop cannon after this shot.
He did make the comment just before they started just now to me that this should be the best of the table, this
Yeah.
middle session. You know, this evening it could get a bit cold and damp again. So this is a session that he's really got to perform.
Yeah, and he has to. I mean,
There's that contact I was talking
Yeah.
about again. Might have enough to get screwing off here. Yeah, got
Good
out of
shot.
trouble.
So Steve will be looking to get that red in a usable position to bring the opponent's ball back into play.
Oh, his shoulder and everything. You see, the way he's going, he had the option there to maybe just thrash a few in offs.
Yeah,
just
a few
to
in
free
offs,
up the
yeah.
elbow. Top of the table, drop cannons. You've got to have your touch perfect. He just looked a bit toey, and he has done throughout the game, and he'll pay the price for that. Matthews missed again.
Yeah, it's one thing I've noticed with Steve. He likes to get the top early. He he doesn't tend to play a few in offs. He likes to get there as quick as possible, playing the risky shot.
Mm.
When you cue that well, you can do that. But for lesser players, like
Oh, this is a
ourselves,
great
it's a great shot. Yeah, it's a good idea to take the extra in offs and get that perfect position for a drop cannon.
Yeah. Another opportunity here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going towards the sideline again. He's got to
Yeah.
stay out. No, he's fine. Well, bit of finger mark, straighten it at the end there.
It's a cover.
Yeah. Gotta get your weight right on these. Oh, he's going to go around the table. Okay.
He plays a lot of those shots, Steve, doesn't he?
Yeah.
To recover the balls. It's
Yeah.
With his potting prowess, it's always good backup to knock these reds in and continue the break. unfortunately, we all don't have that luxury of being good potters, but Steve seems to manage to recover the balls after he plays those big cannons. There we go.
Yeah, very good shot. Yeah, both players, you know, magnificent snooker players, and they're just showing that why they're in the final. Their potting ability is better than the rest at the end of the day. They don't miss many.
Well, they've both definitely dominated both disciplines of the game, snooker and billiards, for quite some time.
And it's great to see Steve having a real crack at billiards. Fantastic. The sport needs it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Matthew can come over knowing that there's someone here that believes that they can beat Matt. That brings the best out in him as well.
Yeah, Steve's enjoying his billiards. He's I was chatting to him last night. He's given up a year of pennant snooker to play over at the Kooyong Club Billiards.
Oh, great.
So I think David Pitt, Paul Cosgrove. I've done that again. David Cosgrove and Don Richter. Oh, Simon Fortune. Liam McLaughlin, yeah. So that's a strong team. That's a very strong A-grade team.
It's good they've got pennant billiards happening in Victoria.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We're struggling over home, as you can appreciate. There's not a lot of people like to go out and have to play Matty.
Yeah.
However, the best thing they can do to learn about the game. And he's always willing to help, you know. I'll say that he loves to show people shots. I noticed after he refereed one game earlier in the competition, he grabbed one of the players afterwards and showed him exactly where he was going wrong. And that's great.
So Steve's worked the balls back to top of the table here. Let's see how he goes.
Yeah, real opportunity here.
It's one thing with the billy community, where everyone's willing to help everyone. I noticed yesterday there was a couple of guys spending some time together on the table and taking notes. And one thing about the billy players, no one's afraid to keep secrets. Everyone's there to help everyone, and that's a good thing.
It is, and just a great culture and great bunch of guys. That's what I say. I've been going away for a couple of decades now, and we were only talking last night about some of those great players that are no longer with us anymore, and like Georgie Gannam Jr. and that, and you know, the great times we had. Matty was a young teenager back then. I remember taking him to Bribey Island when he was 15, and he met the likes of Georgie Gannam and Joe Millen and Joe Manici, you know, who absolutely eats the game of billiards, and you still walk around and lucky enough to see some of these guys still playing today, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and obviously Dave Collins had a great influence on Matthew too as a junior.
Absolutely, yeah. I think if I was to be asked who his mentors were in those earlier days, obviously Marshall at the age of 11 when I took him out to Bob's, but David Collins and Georgie Gannam Jr. had a huge influence on Matty in those teenage years, and David still does today.
And Bob Marshall as a coach, did you yourself have any sessions with Bob?
Yeah, I did. I went out to Bob's for a couple of years, and matter of fact, the day I took Matthew out, I said to Bob, let's be honest, Bob, Frank and I are never going to make it at our age. Have a look at this young fella. He's 11 and he's making 50 breaks. And Bob's eyes lit up very quickly, and it was great that, you know, then instead of me going out there pulling the balls out with Bob, I'd take Matt out and watch him and Bob go for it. And you know, full credit to Bob. We became very close, and before he passed, he had some little personal whispers to Matthew saying, don't be scared to break my records, go for all you can, and it's up to your generation to keep the game alive. So
Yeah.
all that's had a big influence on Matt's love for the game.
So Steve's up to 65 here. He's
You're going well.
He's lost the opponent's ball a bit, but he'll be looking to follow through this red at some stage and getting Matthew's ball back behind the red spot.
You'd like to see him flowing a bit more. This sort of hesitancy
Yeah.
is not a good sign. When you're up there, you know what you've got to do. He knows the shot to play.
Yeah, he's trying to come underneath that
Yeah,
ball.
he's
That's a
got
good shot.
That's a good hit. I think you can overthink this game, and I know Matt made a comment after the first session when he saw the balls were all a bit damp. He decided no matter what, he was going to keep it simple.
Yeah.
You could see Steve struggling a bit.
Yeah, look, Steve's overhit that red there. He's left a short Jenny. So we have a short Jenny, for those people who aren't familiar, is a in-off played into the centre pocket. Steve will be hitting below the centre on the right-hand side of the ball. You'll see the spots travelling towards the pocket. He's just missed that. And a long Jenny is when it's played up towards the top pockets.
Has he left this awkward?
No, he's got plenty of room there.
That was a crucial miss.
It was, yeah.
They're the shots that you have to get at this level. Those short jennies, they're never easy, but the shot before was the bad shot. The in-off red, to leave the red where he did. Again, he probably, easy to sit here and criticise, but he probably rushed it a little bit.
Yeah. So it looks like Matt's overhit that again. He's played a direct method to top of the table there. Direct method is basically pushing the opponent's ball via in-off like Matthew did there and followed up with a pot red. So
He'd be glad that's in the pocket because he missed the last one into that
Yeah.
pocket.
So obviously when the red spot is occupied, it goes to the pyramid spot, as Kim's just spotted there.
Playing the pot. He hasn't got the angle right there either.
So he's landed a little bit low on this red, so the red will go to the centre spot after being potted twice off the pyramid spot.
He's overhit that one.
Yeah, very responsive at the moment, the cloth.
Too many bananas, I think,
Yeah.
in the break. The balls and the cloth are definitely reacting more in this session. You can see it already. They're
Yeah.
both, overhitting the ball a bit. Big shot coming up.
Yeah, he's gone through that well.
Yeah, gets anywhere on the
Just
line
making
here.
sh-
He's got a couple of choices.
Yeah. Not an easy pot. He might have the in off there. What's he taking? Looks like he's playing a little drag in off. Yep. There we are. So he's got a chance here to move Steve's ball away from the spot with the drop cannon. Trying to avoid the cover. There's the cover. It's always a risky shot.
Yes, didn't hit it really how I thought he would have there. The aim would have been to get the red close to the pocket then. However, at least he's got a bit of air between the balls, and usually you can find a shot somewhere there. Maybe a feather in off or a cushion cannon.
This is a great camera angle to see what Matthew's faced with here.
Huge shot this.
Yeah.
Huge shot. So you could leave top of the table back up here. Okay, that's not quite out of trouble, but better than it was.
Yeah, he's left a screw shot to bring
Yeah.
Steve's ball up and down the table. Contact's important on the red here. play that with a touch aside to flick off the red and leave the pot. How's the light travelling? That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit
Yeah.
better. It's amazing if you chip away and stay on the table, eventually, somewhere along the way, you only need a half ball and it all gets easier. Right, real opportunity here.
Yeah.
Steve will be ruining that, that batting off red, leaving himself a short Jenny. Real opportunity for Steve then. He was starting to look like he was settling in.
Mm. So you mentioned Bob Marshall's records earlier, and obviously Matthew has now broken the highest break record in the national tournaments.
Ooh.
That's rattled in. Obviously holds a number of records now, Neil.
Yeah, he's beaten the 800 break twice by he nearly missed that. He lifted his head, and you can't do that in billiards. Anyone out there that's learning the game, stay still on your shot. I was lucky enough to go to Ireland in 2011. There nearly wasn't a World Championship because it was cancelled due to the earthquake in Christchurch, New Zealand, and at the last minute the Irish put their hand up. And isn't it amazing in life how things happen?
Mm.
Matthew in the semi-final made an 831, and I was very blessed to be in the room and see it. And I'll never forget, the tables were very, very challenging, and Mike Russell was playing the other semi-final at the time, and he actually stopped playing in his match to when Matthew got over the 500.
Mm.
And that 831 is Matthew's highest break anywhere, so he hasn't even been able to beat it. And interestingly, in the World Championships, it still hasn't been beaten since 2011 with the greatness of Gilchrist and Russell and Advani and them. So it was a fantastic break, and he really could have gone on and made 1,000. Very stiff. He got the bottom jaw behind ball going around the table. However, I think when he came back to Australia, there were one or two people said that you haven't beaten Bob Marshall's record break in Australia, and that really stirred him on.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful what you say to people like Matty at times. And I remember walking down the footpath here to the Brunswick Club, and he said, "I'm going to beat Bob's break this first game of the tournament this morning, Dad." And he walked in there and did it, and he's since beaten it, I think, on 3 or 4 occasions. So, yeah, and he looks settled in here.
Yeah, he does.
Steve will be sitting down thinking, what did I do here? And you can't let a guy of this ability off the hook too often. His breaks have been, for Matthew's standard, a little bit ordinary so far in this championship. However, I think if you look at the stats, the players generally have struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
We haven't seen as big a breaks as we would normally see.
Oh, look, Matthew definitely hasn't knocked in as many big breaks, but he's still been very consistent with his hundreds, which wins matches.
Absolutely. And looking at this match now, he's only got to keep knocking in hundreds consistently.
Yeah.
He's got a very good start.
I'm sure he'd be thinking of at least knocking in a 500 plus at some stage.
I know before we came over, he had this little thing that it would be great to make 1,000 break for everybody, but I also noticed that he sort of made a few comments that in these conditions he didn't really think anyone would make a break that big. But you know what, we've still got a lot of time left in this final, and if he knuckles down here, and anything can happen.
Well, he's definitely in good position now, and looks quite settled.
Certainly. This is the session for Steve, because if he doesn't perform, Matthew's certainly going to keep performing. You won't find in the game that there'll be many times where neither player walks the table and doesn't score. So if Steve's not scoring, Matt's going to be scoring,
Yeah.
and he can blow him away here if that's going to be the case.
Neil, I'm going to jump off commentary now and hand over to David Pitt. I'm sure David's got a few questions
Sure.
he'd like to ask you about Matthew's junior days and the history of the game.
Great to have a chat with you, Grant, and really great to catch up with you again over here, mate.
Cheers, thanks.
Well, I guess it'd be fair to say that nobody knows Matthew better than me, and the look on his face at the moment is one that I'd be feeling very concerned about if I was Steve. Suddenly he looks to be in a focus, a real focus.
I have to agree with that, Neil. He's just looks as though this is a session that he's looking to really put his stamp on this game. He's got a massive lead, but massive leads aren't necessarily enough for Matthew.
No, that's right. And I think he felt he would feel that Steve's had a few opportunities early in this session, and he didn't take them. He could easily have got in and made a couple hundred break, Steve.
Yes, he got him down to the top a couple of times and was looking good. He looked to have good touch and just was able to control the balls nicely,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
didn't go on with that big break that he needed to keep Matthew off the table for 5 or 10 minutes.
I mean, Matt's 111 already in this break. It seems like he just started it. And that sort of say, suddenly he gets into a trance. And I remember Bob Marshall saying he wouldn't hear a herd of elephants when he was at the top concentrating properly.
118.
For those people watching, when you get the opportunity, watch Matt's backhand if you're learning billiards, and how light he holds it playing top of the table. I see a lot of players playing with a very tight grip. It's a billiard grip, but a snooker grip rather, but in billiards you might get a good shot of it here with a bit of luck. You've got to have that nice loose back grip for these little shots, because you can't hit them soft enough most of the time.
Yeah, very good observation, Neil. And as you can see now that Matthew's got them in close, he's just caressing the balls really. Light grip, just falling on the second object ball, leaving him straight. This one he'll punch a bit because he wants to stun up.
There's that
But it's
back
still
arm.
a very light grip, yeah.
Yeah, and Marshall's favourite saying was, of course, billiards looks boring because great billiards is a series of very easy shots, because you've just so controlled with your position, and it does look really easy. But I remember we did an exhibition in Perth and we invited people out of the audience and trying to get them to hit a ball only 6 inches compared to 6 feet, and they then understood how difficult this easy looking game was.
I remember, speaking of Bob Marshall, Jim Long was playing in an Australian Championship against Bob Marshall, practising in the afternoon, and this old bloke came in and sat and watched for a while, and after half an hour he said, "Well, no wonder you blokes never miss, you never play any hard shots." Jim Long said, "Don't worry, come back tonight and you'll see plenty of hard shots."
And I think that where these guys get put apart from the pack is that they still get into trouble, but they know how to get out of it, and they don't panic. They take their time and have a good look at their options, and 9 times out of 10 they'll get the big recovery shot. And Marshall used to say that to Matthew: "Don't think I never got into trouble, son, but just think how you're going to get out of it, and when you make your mind up, play the shot 100%.
Yeah, great advice. So Neil, tell us a little bit about Matthew's very early days when he first started playing, and when you realised that he was, going to go on to good things, great things, as he has done.
Well, naturally, he came from a billiard family. My father was a 5-time state champion, and I was lucky enough to grow up on a full-size billiard table. And when Matt came along, I set up my full-size billiard table, and by the age of 4, I would have to growl at him to go to bed at night. He'd walk around with this little stool around the billiard table, and he used to sneak out when we'd gone to bed. He'd sneak back in the billiard room at night, and I'd wake up and I'd say to my wife, "Can you hear that noise? The little rat bags in there clicking."
How old was he then?
4.
4?
Yeah, and he just he loves all sport. The two things Matthew's always loved is sport, and the other thing is a challenge. So if he got one word wrong in a spelling test, he'd be filthy on himself. You could never convince him the other 19 were a pretty good result, and he's no different in this game, as we've all come to see. Matt can be quite a jovial character, a very serious fellow. And started then, and he played every day. And then competitively, when he was 11, we went over to Launceston. It was great to go back there the other day. He played in the Australian under-12s in the billiard and the snooker, and there were a couple of very good young players, Rhys Cochran and Danik Lucas, Scotty Foster and Daniel Jones and these guys. And I think particularly people like Rhys Cochran, that Matt said, "Oh, right, I'm not going to let these blokes from over East beat me in billiards." And Rhys was something pretty special. So, really, and competitively from 11, I remember Marshall said to him, "If you practice hard, by the time you're 21, you should set a new Australian record as the youngest ever winner," and he did that just before he turned 21, and never looked back.
That's fantastic. I had heard you tell that story about him sneaking out of bed after you'd gone to bed into the billiards room, but I didn't realise he was only 4 when he started doing that. That's quite remarkable.
And he used to, when we used to hold national championships over in Perth, and the great George Canham and that would come over, he would sit there every day and night. He would not miss a shot by these guys. And he was a little guy, and they made him welcome then. And so he's always been like that. We go home at night here, the first thing he does is flick on the TV and watch sport, and he loves them all. Rugby, Aussie rules, footy, soccer, you name it.
You were saying just then, Neil, the great reception that he got from the billiards fraternity back in those days. That is one of the great features about our game, is the willingness of everybody in the game really to help others. When they see a young talent coming along like this, people are only too happy to share little tricks and secrets and shots, with them. There's no sort of hiding it to yourself, because everybody can see out in the open what it is that you're doing. But people are very willing to share, and I think the attitude is, well, here's the shot, and if you're good enough to learn it and to incorporate it into your game, well, good luck to you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And there's all sorts of comments about players over the decades and who's willing to help and who's not. And one thing I'll give Matt, he loves to help players, and good on him. He knows how privileged he was to meet such great players and get help from them. And nothing he'd love more. When we met young Josh Burns from Tasmania, it was in Leeds, the World Championships, and remember Matty said to Josh, "Mate, you think you've got to win, but don't. What you've got to do is just really soak it up. You're playing Peter Gilchrist in your first ever World Championship. Soak it up and make a personal best break every day." And Josh's best break was 39. The first day I think it was 11 or something, or 9 or something. So, and Josh made a 247 the other day, which is just fantastic. And there's nothing Matt would love more than us to find another 15 or 20 Josh aged boys around Australia, and I know he'd love to pass on his knowledge and that to them. He's been lucky. He's had a combination of Dave Collins, Georgie Gannon, Bob Marshall, Peter Gilchrist. These guys' knowledge, they've all shared their knowledge with Matthew.
Beautiful shot he just played there,
Yeah.
screwing back off the red.
Yeah.
I believe he just grazed the white on the way through there, leaving it in position. Himself perfectly behind the red. That was a beautiful controlled shot now.
I did say I know the lad better than anyone, that I thought he looked like he was in the mood to make a big one here. And what is he now? He's over 200 already.
230
As we're
to
sitting
go.
here chatting, he's
Yeah.
just chipping away.
Yeah.
His level of concentration's amazing. No one's pulled more balls out of the pocket for him than me, David, I can tell you. It's my doctor reckons I don't exercise, and I say, you don't see me in the billiard room.
Very good. Yeah, so he's charging along here. By my calculation, this is around about his 455th century break that he's made in this one tournament, the Australian National Billiards Championship. I did an analysis after the final last year, which we've got sitting in front of us, which shows Matthew's remarkable record. Before the beginning of this tournament, he had 439 centuries, including 15 over 500 and another 14 over 400 with, well, just to complete the picture, 29 300s, 88 200s and 293 centuries. That's not including this year's tournament. It's an incredible record of heavy scoring.
Amazing. And full credit to you, David, because this sort of data is history of our great game, and billiards is an amazingly great game. And this is exactly what we need to keep the game alive, to say that these are the sorts of things that you can achieve in this game. And I was unaware you'd done this, and, as you know, until I arrived here, and I've had a good look at it, and I thought, well, that is an amazing achievement. If you're looking throughout history, there's a lack of winning a world championship, but I think that in regards to Marshall's achievements with breaks, Matthews would be a long, long way ahead there. So if he could just get a couple of world championships under his belt before he grows old like me, who knows?
Well said, Neil. And unfortunately, with the concentration that he's had on snooker in the last perhaps 3 or 4 years, he hasn't been able to avail himself of the opportunities to play in the World Championships, which is a pity because his game is at such a high level. Even though the standard is very high, and there's another 4 or 5 guys, playing at around Matthew's level in the UK and in India, his game is right up there with those guys, and we'd like to, certainly from a billiards purist point of view, I'd like to see Matthew playing more often in those things. But of course, you have to put the dinner on the table, and snooker's where the money is.
Yeah, and look, I've always told all 4 of my kids, if you don't take an opportunity in life, you'll never know. And it was exciting,
might
but
have lost the red there. Ooh, beautiful touch. It hit the jaw, so it had the pace to go in, but he's just kept that one out.
The being offered the professional snooker contract was very exciting, but it was also, a lot of people might think it was an easy decision, but when you're a billiard purist, dear.
Mr. Run
Just missed
Through,
that
pot
one.
off the spot.
Oh,
You could sit here all week and not see the pot off the spot. A beautiful
Yeah.
282 break there just to stretch his lead out to
and he's
around 700.
He's left Steve a fairly difficult position here.
Yeah, difficult indeed. A screw cannon from yellow to
Yeah.
red, but who knows where they might finish.
Yeah. Yes, so, being a billiard purist, suddenly he's saying, oh, gee whiz, potentially I could win a world billiard title, but do I put that on the back burner to play snooker and, change my grip, which is definitely a difference in the way you hold the cue in the 2 sports. And however, as we both agreed, that if you don't give it a go, you'll never know. one great thing about the sport of billiards is you've got quite a few years you can still be a top player. As long as you've got your eyesight and your bones aren't old and creaking like mine, then you're going to be able to play well.
Well, no better example than, of that, of course, than the great, what a lovely shot, cushion first cannon off the red and the side cushion into the white. That was a quality shot there. Didn't get a quality leave, but...
I'm wondering if the run through in off's on here.
This is the run through and off is a shot that requires very, very good cueing, clean contact, it's smooth striking, and just to add to the degree of difficulty, he's using the rest on this. But Matthew has all those attributes in his kit bag. No, he's didn't quite get that as he would have liked.
And again, he's left it awkward for Steve. So Steve's got to probably play a two cushion cannon here, and then you're not sure what you're going to get out of it. So
Absolutely, it's a lottery, this shot. He hit that nicely.
in the right direction.
Just going to slip by just merest fraction. You just mentioned the ability in this game to, to play to a ripe old age. No better example of that, of course, than the great Bob Marshall, who made a comeback to the game in his 70s and was runner-up in the World Championship age 75.
Yeah.
Bob's most remarkable achievement, I think, though, that aside, was the fact that he won an Australian Championship in 6 different decades. He won in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s and the 80s. Just
amazing.
Unbelievable that somebody could, win a national championship in a sport in 6 different decades. Remarkable.
Absolutely, and to think he didn't even have to wear a pair of glasses like you and I do, David. And he'd say to the referee, please stand closer because I feathered the ball and it doesn't move, but it does. I can still remember him. I was fortunate enough to play him in the state grand final in Perth on his first year when he came back. And, what a privilege to get to play the great Bob Marshall. My father played him numerous times, but I never expected to play him because he'd given it away. As a matter of fact, Bob gave me his cue when I was about probably 21, 22.
Beautiful shot there, but sorry to interrupt
Great
you,
shot,
Neil. Beautiful
great
shot there by
shot.
Steve. He's gone enough into the ball pocket, sent the white around off 3 cushions and popped it absolutely
Was
frigid
Matt.
next to what it was, Matt, too.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
glad
Matt.
somebody's watching.
I'm not going to miss him, am I? Yeah, no, as I say, I was privileged to play Bob in that first grand final, and I can tell you, back then we used to play him over 2 nights, David, so it'd be a 4-hour match. And the first 2-hour session, I actually went home 53 ahead. And I'll never forget the newspaper. We had an evening newspaper back then called the Daily News, and the front page, it was a full front page headline, Marshall behind him, come back grand final. And the whole page was all about Bob, and the very last little sentence said, and his opponent is Neil Bolton.
Oh, right. Okay.
Anyway, we went in there the second night, and I'll tell you what, I felt this elephant climbing up my back like you wouldn't believe. It was just unbelievable. And he went on to Tasmania. He was 200 behind with half an hour to play against the great Phil Tarrant, a beautiful player. And Bob stopped the clock, went to the toilet, came back and made back-to-back double centuries. Here's a tricky one. Delicate.
Pretty shot, delicate.
Yes, walked back in the room, made back-to-back double centuries, and then he went to India from there. Quite a story, this one, because his cue went missing. And he arrived 10 days before the tournament just to acclimatise. Oh, he's just run past that.
Just missed that by a small margin.
Yeah, chance for Steve. Yes, so he arrived in India. His luggage was there but no cue, and so the Indians obviously offered him a cue, and he went on to get into the grand final against the great Geet Sethi. I think he won 8 world championships. Magnificent billiard player. And Bob's cue arrived an hour before the grand final started.
Right.
But what an effort for a chap. He turned 76 by then.
Yep.
Amazing, just amazing.
That's not
Steve,
gonna go
I
in.
hope you're going to make it.
Did
Yeah,
never end
good
out.
job.
Neil, what
Great shot.
beautiful pace, wasn't it? Mm.
And people watching, that's what we call real touch, you know. You didn't want to hit it too hard, or the drop cannon might not have been
That-
quite right.
That ball fell in literally on the last roll.
Yep.
Yes, he was going okay with the borrowed cue though, Neil, because in the semi-final he made 399 unfinished against Michael Ferreira. So you know,
Absolutely. I think he could play with a broomstick. Oh,
I had to play Matt in the previous event, the Australian Open. I felt like grabbing a mop out of the cupboard and offering it to him to sort of even up the odds. I think Matt could probably beat me with a mop.
well, Matthew hates me telling this
As long as it
story.
had a tip on it.
He hates me telling this story, but over home when he was 15, he won his first state final, and he played me, and I was quite disgusted that my wife in the crowd was barracking for her son instead of her husband, so I made her sleep outside for a week. However, the next year, being a rather arrogant little teenager as they are, he dared not to show his opponent enough respect, who happened to be me, and I beat him in the final. And my speech was that this is the best thing that could ever happen to a future champion, to lose a match and understand the importance of respecting your opposition and learning how to lose with dignity, and we'll probably never beat him again now he's been beaten. And it was, you know, he understands that now, but at the time, wasn't the happiest little fellow on the planet.
And Neil, was that the last time you beat him?
Yep. Too right. He can give me 3 days start now and catch me in half an hour.
Well, that's
Oh, Steve.
just going to slip in, just
he's
slip in off the top jaw. He's
Nice
in.
little shot too. Lovely touch.
Soft stun screw for perfect position. He'll just knock that red up behind, the yellow up behind the spot. I'll get the colours right in a moment. So he's in A1 position here, Steve.
Yeah, and let's hope this time he got up there last time and he's a little bit overthought a shot, I thought, and he get that flowing game going of Steve's that we know he's got. He's a beautiful move around the table.
Yeah, again, another nice stun red.
What a great ambassador to the game this chap is. Steve, you wouldn't wish to meet a better bloke, such a gentleman. Made us all so hospitable again, as he always does. We all went out for dinner together last night. They're playing each other in the morning, but you know.
It's just over hit that. So it's
Interesting.
Tricky. He might be able to just slip thin off the red here for a cannon now.
All about contact here. Wants to get the outside edge of the yellow.
Oh, perfect.
That's it.
That's a good shot.
And great to see Steve's brother playing, Jimmy.
Played well. Was unlucky not to
Yes.
qualify. He had a very good win early in the tournament and looked like he'd get through. But then, with Josh Burns beating David Collins, it meant he missed out on a countback, which was unlucky.
I think the other great thing about seeing guys like Jimmy play, and I encourage the snooker players out there, I know there's an element that say, oh, billiards, I'm not interested, forget it. Well, unless you are a Neil Robinson or better, don't ever think that billiards won't help your snooker game. There is so much you can learn in it for your snooker by playing some billiards. Not just the safety aspect, which I often hear that comment, oh, it's only about safety. It's about white ball control, and I've watched a lot of snooker, and I haven't come away for quite some time, but I was in Melbourne, as you know, a few weeks ago, and over in the Tasmanian Reventon tournament over there, and the Ronnie Atkins Memorial. And again, I see these guys, they can pot, but their positional potting could improve a lot if they got the touch from some billiard practice. And Matty will go at times and play a bit of top of table billiards when he thinks he's hitting them too hard in snooker, just to stop hitting them.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Neil. it's not just the fact that you're using your. Oh, that's a good break.
Worked out all right.
Yeah, that's worked out beautifully. Normally a 5-shot could be a bit fraught there, and in fact, if the red hadn't gone in, he was going to be covered. So this is a good break. He can now, depending on the angle, get these back. Maybe. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, push the white back towards the spot. It's not just the fact of your cue ball control either, Neil. If you're playing good billiards, you're potting an awful lot of balls, because the red off the spot is the key scoring shot of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
In billiards, either potting a soft red into the corner, whether you've got to control where the white goes, or there's a lot of reds being potted off the spot.
Absolutely. Pot that red from there or not?
I don't think so.
know
I
that
don't
he
think
can.
that he can, but he
got the
probably
little
goes
cannon.
skinny off the
Little
yellow
bit of a
with
rush
side.
shot there with the rest.
Yeah. Yes. That
Yeah,
worked
he's
out
got
well.
out of it.
Yeah,
Well done.
yeah.
Good recovery. That's what I was saying. They
Yeah.
all get into trouble, these guys.
Yeah.
It's about getting back out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I sort of see it in the snooker, and I know there is that, as I say, there's a lot of guys out there playing snooker that you'd be surprised if you had 3 hours with Matty Bolton in the room with you and showing you how to play billiards properly, you probably get pretty hungry. Unfortunately, the tricky bit with billiards is you do need someone to teach you the game.
Yeah, nice soft cannon with side off the red, just leaving himself a straight pot. Straightish pot, it's not quite straight, so Steve with his beautiful cueing and control, just screw back off this and come back onto the line that he wants
That's better.
for a nice cannon to retain position. Just hit that one.
Now he's getting closer to where he really wants him to get into that groove. He made a lovely 300 yesterday on this tape.
Yeah, that's his best of the tournament so far. Of course, also yesterday Matthew knocked in a 467 on which is the tournament high break.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so Steve on 98 now, approaching, I think, this will be his first century of the final, and he needs to make it a big one to just try and wrest some of the momentum back from Matt.
Yes, he can't afford to. Occasionally he's been just rushed a shot and not quite play it. Here's a classic that's just tricky, but he's got it.
Don't know that
Gotta
he's hit
keep
that
it
hard
simple.
enough. He might be a little bit wide on this, and have to dig down. Raise the butt, dig down with side.
Oh, there
it
you
was
go.
just a bit,
See, 2 shots before was the error.
he just needed to give himself a bit more of an angle on the thing. Anyway, on the red, 106 break for Steve. That'll just make you feel a little bit better about himself.
Yeah, he was flowing well. And look, when you're playing, when you see the best in Steve is that flowing quick game. When things are running a bit awkward, it's going through your mind, do I keep playing quick or do a bit more careful? And it's harder being a really quick player than it is just being the methodical pace player. Gilchrist is a beautiful flow-on player. He plays quicker than Russell. Russell is just a machine of perfection. And poor old Steve, he's trying to keep his rhythm, which he has to do for his confidence. But he's just overhit a couple of shots. Or underhit
Well, he's underhit that one there. Two poor shots in a row there. Matthew left himself 2 straight on the red. And then Steve failed to get his ball onto the cushion, which puts Matthew back in. So lovely screw shot there.
That well.
That's a beautiful shot, and he's just left himself a half ball in off. So that little battle went Matthew's way.
Right,
A forcing half ball, but on the.
It's going to land in no man's land. That's so cool. I should have a short Jenny.
Yeah. My experience, well, it's not my experience actually, Neil, but Short jennies are a lot easier when you're 600 in front.
You're not wrong. You wouldn't want to be playing a short jenny when there's 30 seconds left on the clock and you're one behind.
Exactly right.
For sure.
Yeah. They're also a lot easier when you're 600 behind. It's actually one of the times when you can play really good billiards when you're 600 behind because there's no pressure in either case.
Absolutely. So, David, why the word Jenny? Why isn't it Susie or
Well,
Pauline?
I learnt that only earlier today, Neil. But
Always hit that well.
Peter Tankard informed me it's from the spinning jenny, which was the a very early invention of machine for spinning cotton, and it spun around quickly while the weavers spun their cotton on the spinning jenny.
Okay.
So it's derived from that piece of very early industrial equipment.
Yeah. I mean, the Billiards Dictionary is quite an interesting dictionary. People listen to us saying short jennies, long losers, hazards, in-offs. It's snooker, we've got pots and snookers and fouls, foul misses.
That's right. Interesting, the derivation of the term winning and losing hazards, Neil. Originally this game was only played with two balls, the white ball and the spot white ball, and you scored only by two methods, either by potting, which was a winning hazard, or by going an off, which was a losing hazard. And then towards the end of the 18th century, some genius added in a third ball, the red, which suddenly transformed the whole game into one of cannons, still the losing hazards.
Oh, he's got a double kiss. Yeah. I was going to say this looks awkward. Yeah, that was careless.
And what an incredible breakthrough that must have been, because let's face it, imagine playing with two balls, it'd be pretty damn boring.
Absolutely. Well, I've always said there's not enough pockets on the table for me.
Right, yeah. So I'd prefer a pocket about every 6 inches or so myself. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Well, a little bit of Matt's missed a few here that he was in, and a little bit of carelessness. This game, you just can't afford to be careless. It'll bite you in the backside.
Right. Nice shot there by Steve. He had a cannon, but he chose to play it even thinner than he needed to make sure that he had the cushion before the yellow and knocked it up into a good position.
Yeah.
And then he followed it with a nice stun pot with the rest to leave himself on the half ball line. You can go straight to the top here.
Yeah, you can. Perfect position for it.
Yep. So he's got two middle pocket losers. He's going to take the white, probably play this one a little bit thin with a bit of left-hand side, just to chip the white towards the left of screen, right behind the spot. He's done exactly that. And now he's got the red over the middle for a pot, and
perfect.
From a very unpromising leave, 4 shots later he's going to be at the top of the table. So nice little sequence there from Steve.
Another chance to really settle in here, get his flowing motion going, and away he goes. And talk about it, opportunities in the 150 up Gilchrist-Cathari match. Cathari leads 3-0 and he's 60 and fallen down through really careless billiards, and he's lost the match. Gilchrist come back and win 4 in a row, and that's what can happen at this level. There's no time you can afford to play carelessly.
I wasn't here that day, Neil, but Don Richter sent me a text saying, "Oh, amazing comeback by Gilchrist from 3-0 down," and I just replied and said, "No, it's not amazing when Peter Gilchrist comes back from 3-0 down at all. All he needs is one opportunity." And
absolutely.
He's in there.
Absolutely. I love watching Peter and Matthew play each other. They number one, that's always a great match, and they've got the utmost respect for each other's game. But Matthew quite enjoys Peter. He's
such a
pretty imposing record against Peter.
He does. He's such a great guy, Peter.
Fantastic.
When he gives away billiards, he can get a job as a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
The games are always played in a fantastic spirit, as they are between these two.
Oh, too right. Steve and Matt have played each other that many times in both snooker and
Well, they've
billiards.
been the dominant players in Australia for the last 15 to 20 years, and they've won an incredible 42 Australian championships between them.
Amazing, isn't it?
And there's plenty more to come. for both of them.
Yeah, they're going to be around for a long, long time.
That's in billiards and snooker, of course. I'm talking
Yeah.
about senior championships, disregarding junior championships. I
Yeah.
don't think you could even count how many junior championships they would have won between them.
No, they've had some fantastic snooker matches. Even very recently, that was an amazing game.
Down in Tasmania.
Yeah.
Tell us about that one now.
Well, it was. It looked like all over Red Rover for Matty at 4-1 down, and Steve had played beautifully. But it's funny, I was sitting next to the great Ian Chappell, and it got to 4-2, and Ian said, "Can the young bloke win from here?" I said, "Absolutely, one frame at a time. If he gets to 4-3, it's funny how suddenly the player's body language gives away a little bit." And I thought that Steve played one or two shots where there was a lot of shoulder movement, and he missed them by a mile, and suddenly it's 4-3 and then 4-all, and Matt's got the biggest fluke of the century from a fantastic safety that Steve had played. One that came out of the pack, dropped in the pocket, and he took full advantage of it and made a beautiful 71 break, stole the match. And that's what we were saying about how careful you've got to be at this level. The game's never over till the bell rings, and in the snooker, never over till the last ball's potted. A great spectacle, and
That was a great match. I'm glad you mentioned that fluke, Neil, because as a parochial Victorian, if you hadn't mentioned it, I certainly would have.
Oh, look, I think one of the biggest hints I can say to anybody, and I used to get a bit hot-headed myself when I was younger, but if you're going to play a ball sport, you must accept that you are going to have your days where things are running a bit your way. I play a lot of lawn bowls, and I see it even at the highest level. I was watching this morning before I came in. They get a bit of a rub of the green, we call it. You see tennis players serve an ace by a millimetre or double fault by a millimetre.
Exactly, yeah, it happens. You're right, it happens in all ball sports. And I have to say, in this final, particularly in the first session, I didn't think the balls were running at all kindly for either player. They just kept getting into bad positions, line-ups, smothers, and it just made it difficult for both the players. Matthew was able to take his chances much better than Steve was.
Yeah.
Nice little recovery shot there by Steve.
He read it very quickly, Matthew. He told me he noticed when Kim put the red on the spot, even with a glove on, that it was a damp mark on the red. And he said to himself straight away, "That's it, I'm going to keep it as simple as I can until this room dries out." And he said the 97 he made at the start was worth a lot more than that in those conditions.
86.
Steve's looking much better here.
Yep. So 86 here. This is virtually back-to-back from his century a few minutes ago. So he's starting to flow a bit more now. Just going to drop this red in nice and slow to leave himself the cannon off the yellow, bringing the yellow back behind the spot. A little bit wide, but he's just going to swerve into that one a little to widen the angle and get as straight as he can on the red. Again, just a bit wide on this red too, so he's just going to have to do something.
Funny thing with this game, David, you can have a bad fluke as well as a good fluke.
Oh, of course, yeah.
There's times when you may lose the other guy's white ball, and people that don't fully understand the game think, oh, he's got an extra 2 points, but you've just restricted yourself.
You don't get it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing, often people will play a slow cannon towards a red that's near the hole, and the red will just drop in, which, can severely disadvantage that player.
Yeah.
Now Steve's just working out whether he can pop this red slowly to get an angle for the cannon coming back. To do this, you'll probably have to play this with right-hand side, which is paradoxical. You would think that right-hand side would make the cue ball go wider, but because it's against the nap, right-hand side is actually going to keep the white ball towards the top cushion.
Yeah, easy to score here, not so easy to get the position.
I don't think he likes it. I think he might be thinking about going around the table.
Yeah, and that doesn't give him, give go around the table, you still can be out where you land. It's a tricky little one.
It is a tricky position. Looks very straightforward.
Play a little cannon
It's not.
as well, a little screw cannon, bring the yellow back up to the red. Or a little Fontenay's going to play the pot, I think.
Go up there. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's okay. He
Cushion
just
cannon.
decided to keep it simple, cushion cannon, and just work back towards the balls here.
Oh, yeah, he's got
That's
some
fine.
work
Yeah,
on.
that's good.
That's well played.
That's quite good because he's actually cleared the. He's hit that hard enough to clear the path from the red into that left-hand pocket, I think.
Yeah.
So he can just put the red here, come back straight-ish, but not dead straight on the red, and get himself over for a cannon from yellow to red. Check that strongly off the side cushion.
Another great thing with this game is those that play billiards, we all know the half ball lines and angles and everything to land on, and there's certain times when there is only one correct shot. There's other times when there are different options, and that was a very good example of it there.
Yeah, lovely shot that. It was a stun run through with running side, just to make the right angle for that return cannon, which he's played perfectly. Yellow's right behind the spot, and he's left himself almost straight on the red. Lovely soft screw back there, almost a stun back. He's playing some nice billiards now, Steve.
Yeah. Great to have the red spots on the balls for people watching to see
It's one
what
of the,
they're doing.
It's one of the best innovations, I think, in recent years. I played with these for 30 seconds and thought, wow, this is fantastic. Nice little sequence there.
Yeah, well, he's 110, 113 break here.
As you may know, Neil, Steve has been practicing a lot of billiards coming into this into this tournament, making a lot of 200s. He's really rediscovered his passion for billiards, I think, in the last 12 months or so, and
I think knowing Steve and his determination, I think Matthew getting up in Tasmania would have only spurred Steve on more to say, well, I should have beaten him in snooker, right? I'm going to do it in billiards,
Right, Steve had a great run in the Australian Open. He made the semis, and the other three semi-finalists there were Peter Gilchrist, the world number one, Rob Hall, the world number three, and Matthew, of course, a former world number one.
Yeah.
And he was in a really elite company in that group, and pushed Rob Hall all the way. He was 3-all in that semi-final with Rob Hall before Rob just drew away in the last couple of games to make the final.
Well, it's fantastic for Australian billiards that Steve's playing the game seriously. Really good. And we've got another, Ben Judge is another one who's Ben's done very consistently well in the snooker tournaments, and Ben's really improved his billiards out of sight.
He loves his billiards.
Yeah.
134 to go here. Steve has left the red touching the cushion, so that's not a problem for a player of his ability. He just play that with a little bit of right-hand side to make sure he comes away from the side cushion. Needs a kiss there. We got a kiss. Not too bad. Not too bad.
This is the important shot, this next one. He needs to make sure he's got something to work with after this.
What do you think he'll do here, Neil?
I think he'll push to play the yellow over the hole to get in off it.
Oh.
But I wouldn't have been playing it like that.
No.
And now he's got two balls on cushion. Tricky red. If he gets it, he's in.
Yeah, that's right.
If he misses it.
Yep. So he's really got no choice here but just to roll the red in at a
Bit of a case of that rust with the rest again. Twice I've seen him rust the rest. Extra caution.
Oh, what a beautiful shot! What a beautiful shot!
Yeah, great recovery shot.
And he can get it off the white here,
Yeah.
sending the white across the table a couple of times to hopefully for a drop cannon. Come on, he wants that to
he likes this.
He needs that to just bounce off a little. If it's off, that's enough. It's not ideal, but it looks as though he's playing this one off the red now.
Yes, well.
That's a bit of a surprise, I must say.
It's Not the shot that Matt would play, but he's got it.
You think Matt would have played the
Matt
slow
would have played-
cannon
yeah,
or a long jetty
Tunner
there?
side. He
Yeah.
would have played the cannon Tunner side off the top cushion.
He's
just
so good,
arrive.
he's so good at that, Matt. He invariably gets a good contact on the red.
Yep.
He never gets underneath the red. He's
No.
always just, you know, hitting the red about half ball, at a nice slow pace, which will 9 times out of 10 give him a good result. Bit of a force with it, Steve. And he's hit that well. How's this going? Not
You
too
know.
bad if that goes in. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
He's okay.
Yeah.
Probably.
Fortunate the shot before he got
Yeah.
he got a lead to
Mm.
play a forcing half ball shot,
mm.
and this is where it can get a bit scrappy at times.
So cushion first here, Neil, or is he potting this?
I think he's putting it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, nice
Yeah.
shot, came out on a nice slow pot with drag and
Yeah.
right hand side to just bring him out towards the spot for a simple pot.
Becomes a bit of patience here, and you know that shot there is probably thinking, play my strength, and just got to.
Made that nicely. That's a
Yeah.
stun pot with a bit of right hand side, and you would have seen as the ball travelled up the table, that down the table. I mean, it's just curled towards the pocket with that side against the nap.
Yeah, he's played this well too. He should
This
have
has
dropped
worked
out.
okay. Yeah, just wants it to come off the cushion a bit because you don't want to be playing these towards the ball on the cushion. He's got this nicely now.
That's a good example of staying on the table.
Mm.
He got himself into a bit of trouble, and now a good result from this. He should be back up
Yeah, he's
there.
played
working
that.
out. Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah,
He'll be able to clip in there and put the red over the middle.
I would think so. It's good.
Yeah, going well, Steve. He's got himself out of trouble here. 164.
Could you just tap Peter Tankard on the knee? Too nice one. Yeah. Are you happy to keep going now?
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Neil. It's been a pleasure to chat to you and just to hear some of the stories about Matthew's youth. And I'm now going to hand over to Peter Tankard to continue the commentary with Neil Bolton.
Great to talk to you, David, and again, thanks for all your hard work on those stats. They're
That's
a
great.
fantastic part of Billiards history.
So Steve, with 170 to go, he's looking good at the moment, and I'm handing over now to Peter.
Just got to force this. Oh, gee, that came off at an interesting angle out of ball. What's going to happen here? That's okay. Could have been an ugly one there. However, a delicate shot. Hello, young Peter. Emphasis on young.
Hello, young Neil.
Peter, good to see you again.
A couple of young blokes watching the billiards. Steve would be happier with his form now.
Yes,
He
he's
was
having a
very
bit of a run
frustrated.
here at the moment. He's got out of that one. That was always going to be tricky. Where were they going to go here? But he's got an in off here. Important shot.
He's very frustrated after the first session, I know.
Yeah, look, you wouldn't wish it on anyone. However, he had his chances, and the conditions were a bit tricky.
Mm.
He's looking a lot more comfortable now.
We saw an uncharacteristic show of emotion from Steve. Usually raised eyebrows a lot for Steve, but
Yeah.
he actually slapped the table.
Oh, I thought he was killing a fly, Peter. Steve wouldn't do that. It just goes to show. Oh, he must have heard you.
He must
It
have.
goes to show that the level of pressure
Yeah.
to be playing somebody like Matthew Bolton, the level of pressure, and Steve knows how hard Steve's worked for this match, and
Yes.
It shows he's only human.
So it closes the gap a bit with a worthwhile contribution of 170.
Yes, and this hasn't landed, this is a little bit awkward because I think you probably whack the white and stun gently over to the red, push it towards the pocket.
So the white goes
Send
round the
white,
table
yeah.
and comes back to the same place.
Yeah. Bring them up together.
Ooh, where's the white going? Oh, a
okay.
bit ugly.
Bit ugly,
He can
yes.
get underneath this, I think. He can flick off the red and just get underneath it, but
Very important time here for Matty. He's been sitting on his backside for a while. And a bit of an opportunity if he can make something out of this little awkward leave here. He'd probably dearly love to knock in 150 odd break just to put a bit of distance again.
no, he didn't bother.
I don't know that he meant that. Now's the big decision. Run and hide or take the pot on? Run
And hide.
Not
yes,
too far.
yes, he has. He hasn't hidden very well.
Like he had to get that red safely in the ball. However,
Yes.
this isn't. Looks like he may have to give this a whack.
So in and out of balk for the yellow.
Yeah. Where's it going?
He needs this to slow down, so he's got a half ball loser, and it has. Well, no, it hasn't.
No, now it'll
No,
be interesting to see what
that's
Steve
tricky.
does here. I think he's probably going to have to pot the white,
Pot the yellow
pot
and
the yellow rather.
double ball.
Yeah. He had to
Certainly
get that
tried.
if you're going to play it. He'll be disappointed with that because he's been at the table, he's flying well, and he had an opportunity to sit Matthew down double ball. All of a sudden, Matt's got a tricky position here.
Tricky
but
pot.
If he gets the in off,
Or in
I think
off.
he's playing the in off. Yeah.
You're right.
And he gets kick out from there. Steve will be disappointed.
So you played in the snooker as well, Neil. You had a 2-week leave pass.
I did have a 2-week leave pass, and I believe that my wife has been doing the right thing and doing the gardening while I've been away.
Thank you, Joan. I'm sure
Because-
she's watching here now.
Oh, I'm sure she'll be watching, and she knows how hopeless I am at gardening. I only get in the way, so it's good she does it when I'm not there. But I thoroughly enjoyed the snooker. My best snooker's 30 years behind me, but it's good fun to get out there on the snooker table and try and survive a few games by playing a few safeties here and there. He's probably gone a bit deeper on that than he'd wished, but he should be all right. Yeah, played in the Melbourne tournament, which was great, having the round robin, just, for the lesser players like myself, and that's fantastic. You're all guaranteed 4 matches, and then they had a plate event. It was great. And then we went down to Tasmania, and it was fantastic to go back down to Tassie after all these years. And that was an exceptionally well-run event, and great to go down and honour the great Ron Atkins.
70.
Okay, Matty, has he got the weight? Not back to the middle, but he's on the red here, and he'll just work his way here. Patience is the name of the game here. They'll only get easier if you can take his time. These sort of shots look easy. It's the next shot that you've got to make easy.
A lot of check side on this.
Yeah. So we've got 37 minutes left in the session. Approximately 500 the difference. Very important 37 minutes here for both players. Very important. Matthew can run away with the match here. or Steve can put himself in a position of potentially having an opportunity to win the match.
This is roughly the gap when they started, isn't it? So they've been trading
Yes.
blow for blow
Yeah.
during this session.
But he would have been a bit disappointed that he didn't go on with that break. He looks so settled into that, and he hasn't put in a big break by his standards yet. Whether he's got one in the back pocket or not, only time will tell.
So he's just come all the way across to sit across loser and looks to have it in great shape.
These are all about the weight. Got to get the weight right in the red. He's hit that. He's taken it right across the other side. So
Is he planning on playing the cannon here, do you think, to disturb the white? No, not yet.
he's hard to read at times, Matty. Sometimes he'll go for the shortcut, which I think he's going to do here. Yeah.
Bounce a little. It does.
Okay, in off red, and then he's got an option there. The in off white's on if he needs it, so he doesn't have to be too delicate with this. Just get the shot.
So red out of the middle. Needs to hurry. Been surprised how variable the conditions have been this year. More than in previous years. Maybe the weather's been a bit more variable.
Certainly, Peter, and as I've said a number of times to people here, and I've been watching a lot of the Australian Open bowls, and you're hearing commentators talking about the conditions, and they're continually saying what bowlers are adapting best to the conditions, and that's what it's about. You can't change them. And these guys with that experience, they know there's certain shots you just cannot play in damp conditions, so you avoid them. And as I stated earlier, Matty picked it up very quickly and was determined to play a simple game in that first session. He was feeling the balls weren't breaking well at all, and he tried to keep it simple. Another good example there of the importance of bringing balls together. Those people that are, learning the game, trying to find shots to keep the balls together as much as you can.
Sit red.
He's
It
played
does.
this well. He can get a little fining off and put that white behind the plate just about, I think. Okay, he's going to kick it out a bit. Interesting.
Come up a little short there.
Again, here's a position where you think it's easy, but the pot certainly is. It's where he lands that's important here.
So he's come all the way across the other side. Well, not quite.
Okay. I think he's got enough angle there, Peter, hasn't he?
I think he
Play
has.
the little cannon bounce the red out off the cushion, then he's got the pot. And, might be a little bit awkward. He doesn't take this long, usually. Important break. He's 51, very close to having him where he wants them. If he can settle in and put that gap, because the gap's definitely short.
Looks like he's playing it full, so he'll be disturbing the red a bit more than the fine one he was hoping for.
Okay, he's bringing it up and down the table. First half's good. The white, he's got a lovely shot. Oh, he's caught the draw.
Won't be a big issue. Red's back out in the middle, so it's
Yeah.
probably available into both corner pockets for a loser.
Keep the balls out in the middle of the table here, so you've got the options, whether you're playing the losers or the cannons. Another tip for everyone learning the game, keep the balls out in the middle of the table. When Matt was a kid, we used to say, green and yellow spots, keep the balls inside them throughout the length of the table. You'll always have a shot on.
There's a good tip, Neil. Let me write that one down.
I used to call them railway tracks when he was a little fella.
Seems to have worked.
I remember the great Bob Marshall went out to his house to visit him when he was 90, and he said to me, I've just learned a new billiard shot this morning. You'll come and I'll show you. So there you go. That's how long you can keep learning new shots in this game.
Well, it's amazing the longevity of billiards players. Bob Marshall holds a record which I'm sure is unique in the world of sport, where he won his national title in his chosen sport 51 years apart. The first time as a young man, and the last one at the age of 77, I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
amazing.
26 and 77. Now that's, of course, he won an awful lot in between as well. But that, I don't think that's even possible in most sports, because this game's based on knowledge rather than
That's a good little shot.
physical condition.
Yeah, look, amazing. I was saying earlier to David to think he didn't even wear a pair of glasses.
Really.
Now Matty's in a very good position here. Drops this in,
Directly
and
behind
he's
the
back
spot.
in his favourite place at the top of the table.
This is where he speeds up too, isn't it?
31 minutes on the clock. Knowing him like I do, there'll be this little thing in the back of his mind saying, now's the
500.
time. Now's the time to knock the big one in. Play out time. And for those people listening, how long does it take to make a 100 break? At this sort of level, around about 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. Matt's 8.31 in Ireland took 55 minutes.
Right.
It's a long time to go without missing a
Missing a
shot.
shot, yeah.
And I often compare it to someone like Tendulkar making 300 in cricket. The difference is Tendulkar can play and miss. Get away with it and have a rest up the other end while hitting a
Sure.
quick single, whereas these guys...
That's right. He's only playing half of it, Tendulkar.
Yeah.
His partner's doing something as well.
This looks a little bit tricky. He's looked okay. He doesn't want to kiss it. Oh,
Oh,
beautifully
what
played.
a clever shot.
Like, another example of what I was saying, these great
Ooh, that
players,
red's
the
just-
recovery shots they
Yes.
play.
Red's just dived into the
Ooh,
rail
just
there.
dropped in there.
It did, so it's forced him to play the cross
Yeah.
loser. So push it over the middle pocket. Go in off here, push it over the middle pocket for a pot. And he's back down at this end of the table without having had to concern himself too much.
92 already in this break.
So just keep an eye on that clock and see how long it's taking him to make 100.
Oh, he's not going to
Oh.
make it after that.
He
Now
is
that's
not
an
gonna-
example here where the red was a long way from the pocket. He elected to pot it. He could have played a couple of hazards. Peter, you put the mockers on him, didn't you?
I'm
As
terribly
soon as you
sorry,
mentioned
Neil.
the clock.
Yep, that's right.
But, you know, in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing. They're always a harder pot than you think.
Yes,
Hitting
they are.
across the ball.
And you're really concerned about the pace coming down, aren't
Yeah.
you? So
Yep.
all you're thinking about is the pace on the white and where you're going to finish up.
You're getting there the quick way. You could have played the in off in the middle till the cows come home and then go up with a drop cannon when you're ready. Steve's played a good shot here.
That's a
nice
great shot.
weight, good contact on the red.
Pretty straight. I don't know what he'll do with this. Got any thoughts?
He'll be getting it white right up the other end. Don't want to line them up here, right? We've got a
Yes,
smother.
just sneaks past.
Yeah.
So it looks like
think
he's
he's
sitting
all
on
right,
the
but
half ball
it's-
line.
Yeah, it might be a bit thinner. Very important second ball. No, he's going to force it off red. Another example, saw the half ball angle, take the half ball on. That's what I'd like to see Matt play with that last shot. Just bring it down, get it close to the pocket. If you leave it short, you've got the drop cannon, rather than risk that pot.
These shots help you get your arm going too, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
You get to see the pace of the table, you get to see the angles they're throwing. It's a fairly forgiving shot, and it's very useful to play a few of these at the beginning of a break. There's a limitation of 15 of these hazards, as they're called. Hazards any shot on the billiards, in a game of billiards that isn't a cannon, a pot or an in-off. And that's because it's possible to repeat that sequence almost endlessly. The great Australian George Gray was the exponent of that repeating shot.
Looking a little bit hesitant here what to play, which this has cost him a few times in this match. I think, 99% of the time, first decision's the right decision that comes into your head. Don't overthink it.
Come down a little low, so you might have to pot red and go back up onto the half ball line.
Yeah.
These are going to finish close together. He needs an angle.
I think he's...
Has he got the
It's a bit
angle?
hard to tell on the monitor here.
Yes.
Very important contact. Yeah, see, he
He had to
had
force
to
it a
force
little.
that, and all of a sudden,
Not so pretty. When we say force it, by hitting the ball a little harder, the angle throws wider, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah.
30.
Come around.
Yeah, it's
This is okay.
worked out okay here.
So go in off the yellow and try and leave the cannon angle.
Yeah,
He's got it.
yeah. A couple of good recovery shots to get back into a good position here for Steve.
Now he wants to hit, as we're looking at it, the right-hand side of the yellow ball or full to push it towards that top of the table position behind the spot. And red goes into a potable position. Ooh, it's gone too far.
Now that's an example where players focus on getting that white behind there and they don't hit the red right.
Yes.
Still the red's a priority ball.
Yes.
36.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Now he's reversed the positions. He's got the yellow into drop cannon position. Now needs to get the red out into a cannon middle position.
39.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's just gone very ugly.
Dear, dear. Talking earlier with David saying, the harder you hit the ball around the table, the more these things, when it's running well for you, you walk up and you've still got a half ball, but you keep doing it and some ugly things can happen.
Cushion
Interesting
first.
shot here. No.
No.
Well, he'll be disappointed with that.
39.
He had 3 or 4 opportunities there to drop cannon, and they've landed awkward. Challenging enough, this. Yeah. But,
Oops, fluked the opponent.
dear, dear.
Hasn't helped much because now he's got a choice. Not easy to get safe off this.
Yes. Crucial stage. 20 minutes left. Don't want to be putting him in the bat again.
Looks like he's trying to get them into balk. That's well
As long
done.
as they don't
Collide.
collide with each
Yeah.
other. Yeah, that's
He's done well.
good effort.
It wasn't an easy shot, was it?
No, and he hasn't, hasn't left him up.
So Steve's response here must be a safety. He figures that Matt can't score from there, so he'll just push his ball over onto the opposite side cushion. Quite legal in billiards. He does give away 2 points, and it's
Yeah.
technically a miss, not a foul.
Yes. And technically, I wouldn't have been leaving that white out of balk. I would have been playing across the table with a little bit of side and pull it back onto that side cushion, but just in baulk, because if Matthew does happen to score here, it's that much easier
Mm.
to be able to get back the other. See, I think he's going to play the cannon off the white here.
Oh,
Look where the white is. Well, I think Steve got away with a bit there. If Matthew had scored, Steve only had himself to blame. He left in the cannon.
so where would you have pushed that ball in the baulk? Or?
I would have left it on the side cushion, but just inside the ball.
Well, Steve said we'll try and improve the safety this time.
Yeah. So this is a good example. Steve leaves himself an easy red. Okay.
Now
He
Matthew
works
has
off
to
the
attack,
red.
really,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
If Matt leaves the white outside the ball line and Steve gets on the red and works it round the table, he can bring it down to the white. He doesn't have to be too fussy if it's playable. But if the white's just inside baulk, Steve has to be perfect with the red to be able to utilise it. Drink for the referee.
Drink for the referee.
Someone's having a powder break. They stopped the clock. Obviously one of the players needing to have a quick break. We've got 20 minutes to go, and really there's not a lot of change in the overall
No, the
difference in the
position's
scores.
much as when they started, really.
So it's, while Steve would like to be a lot closer, at least he has been able to match Matt in this
Hold
session.
the line. Yes, Matt.
Jam stall, jam stall.
So do you get paid for those, Dan?
Fig jam, fig and ginger. Whoa. Lemon butter.
It's champagne snow, that.
Yeah?
Yeah. What's that mean? Skier speak. You wouldn't know. Sorry, Mr. Skier. I ski.
Yeah?
Well, you any good? I've watched people do it.
Let's talk about a more prosperous tomorrow. A tomorrow where your phone...
Okay. We're back at the billiards. Toilet break finished, and Matthew's double baulked. In other words, both balls are behind the baulk line and can't shoot backwards, and he's having to make an interesting decision here. Does he take on and try and score, or does he play safe, Peter?
Looks like he's sizing up to play safe, doesn't he? It's hard to say. He can play onto the side cushion with left-hand side and try and attack the balls.
He always tells me to play safe on these, but I haven't got the
Safe.
expertise. Yeah, okay, and he's left it out of baulk. He doesn't do as his old man tells him. Okay, we'll see what happens here.
Hmm. Hmm. So our reserve commentators behind us have suggested what we call the Gilchrist recovery here. Pot red, and then the red goes to the middle spot, and try and leave an angle to hit the bottom cushion, not the top cushion, but the bottom cushion, in such a way as to bring the yellow out. That's the angle. Middle spot, he's reminded Kim. He's gone up there, now he's looking at this angle. It's a little narrower than normal. So he's got to play a little check side. So his ball will go quite close to that ball pocket and then should check up. Come straight towards the yellow.
All
Usually
about where
played
they
fairly
land.
firmly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about where they land here. He's got to have a shot on after this shot. What's he doing here?
Would have been ideal.
He's going to have to play long loser here. Now,
Yes.
neither of them have played long loser in this session. Just my memory serves me right. They've played their drop cannons and other losers, but so Steve will be hoping to cue through this ball well.
Bring it around off 2 cushions and leave a cannon.
Yeah.
It's gone a bit far for that.
Yeah.
Or alternately not far enough.
Should be right here to leave it there this time. Ooh, move the shoulder, but he's all right. Yeah.
Bit
Good
better
spot.
than all right. It's actually
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay. 16 minutes left on the clock, and crucial time in the match. I mentioned earlier Bob Marshall gave Matthew the challenge of becoming the youngest ever Australian Billiards champion, and I was lucky enough to be there when he did that at the Penrith Sports Centre in Sydney, and 5 days before his birthday. And
Before his 21st birthday, wasn't it?
yeah, and he had a highest break back then of 452. Easy to forget how long ago that was. And he beat Neil Croft 1591 to 1471, and it was a shame because poor old Crofty was enough to push him out of the game. He felt that that was his chance to win an Australian title, and if he couldn't beat the young kid then, he wouldn't beat him for the next 20 years. So
He's a pretty good judge.
So Neil, if you're listening, mate, we'd love to have you back playing, and you're a personality we miss, and I hope you're over that defeat by the young fella. Plenty of others have copped it worse than you did since then. Well, Steve's in here. Keep it together and play out to the finish line, this session. Don't forget it, Matty was 137 not out at the end of the first session, and he walked in the second session and didn't go on with that one.
No.
Knocked in a 500 or 600 then. Who knows?
What's the highest break so far? 170? Ooh, stop. No, that's pretty disastrous.
Matty's had a double century. 197.
197.
Yeah. That's that little bit of carelessness I was talking about earlier with David, that Steve, you can't afford it. You'd be all right here, but shouldn't be in this position. And he's still got a bit of work to do here. That was a delicate little cannon, and you're thinking to yourself, I've got to feather the red, but I can't afford to miss it, and he's ended up hitting it a full ball. He may have played this at a nice weight for the red.
Very nice weight.
Yeah. Okay. In off-white, he either plays it for the drop or he puts it on the pink spot here. It's a dangerous ploy, playing for the drop there. The correct shot's to always look at putting it onto the pink, then playing off from there, and it'll always land naturally on that. He's got it, and that's fine, but there would be masters of the game that would say it should be played over 2 shots, not 1.
Not pretty here.
No, it's just got to stay at the table and all of a sudden. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Well played, nice recovery.
Does he want to tickle a couple of nurseries here?
Yeah. I always say
Ooh,
they're for
touching ball.
Walter Lindrum to play. Get the balls back what they used to play on top of the table. And then
Oh.
look at this. This is getting.
This is
You only got
very
to
edgy.
cue too hard and you played a push shot. So we'd love to all think we can play nurseries, but we play top of the table better than we play nurseries.
Ooh. Getting harder. So he's playing a PK here so he doesn't follow through and foul. This is a classic nursery cannon position, but it's really a game in itself, isn't it? There's
Very delicate. Okay, that's giving him
Back
a
in
little
business.
bit more space to work in. Playing the ball.
yes.
Crucial times for Steve. Crucial, you know. Here's his opportunity. He got out of trouble there, and there are a few really good little recovery shots he's played. Now he has to capitalise. 10 minutes on the clock. Plays out the 10 minutes, then game on when we all come back.
Mm-hmm. So Neil, is your grandson Jake showing a similar interest?
Scary, Peter. Scary. No, the interest isn't that high, but the ability is. He scared me in on the star table, potting him into the middle pocket.
How old
one
is he
day. Jake is 7, and
Right.
Matthew tells me the other week he was down at Popback watching Matt in the final. Ooh, that worked out well. That red could have gone anywhere. Yeah, Matt's playing in the final and Jake's up the other end of the room on the pool table playing the current under-12 pool champion and beating him 3-1.
Of course he is.
He's 7.
Of course he is.
But he's... no, I think at the moment Jake's loving his football. In the winter, he's talking to his dad on the phone last night, saying that they lost their first game by a point, and Dad's trying to explain to him it's good to lose sometimes. I thought, well, that coming from you, Matthew.
I was about to say. I was about to say. Neil, I didn't want to have be the one that said it, but you know. So Matt actually does have those thoughts, does he? It's incredible.
No. Oh, I regularly say it, but he still doesn't like it.
Oh, it's good for them to know we're having fun in here.
Okay.
Still in business.
Yeah. Yeah, that Reddy whacked and Jordan comes straight back to him. That's very helpful.
Could be helpful.
Yeah. 99 break.
Mm-hmm.
Scratchy, but they're on the board.
So pot red, and then the cannon coming back to push the yellow down behind the spot.
Yeah, I think he's got a perfect angle for this.
I think he does. Ooh, bit of body English with that one.
Didn't like it, did he? Really?
He didn't like it, but he still got it.
Yeah.
So yellow goes down below the spot now. Oops, 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 oops.
Oh, dear.
Dearie me. He wants that
Not
to be touching, and it's
you can
not
see
touching.
From here and this beautiful clear vision. Again, there's that little bit of carelessness.
Mm.
It's interesting to see these guys that are playing snooker as well, and I've chatted to Matthew about it. The amount of feathers and the pace he's doing him, he never used to, and I said, that's because you're playing a lot of snooker, and Steve
Yes.
is unnecessarily feathering a lot there.
Look at the side that he's playing here. This is
Yeah.
something that you'd really never do in snooker or even pool. Play with this amount of side. He's on the extreme edge of the ball.
Oh dear.
Too much.
Where's
Get it
it
on the
gonna
way back.
go?
No, it's
The
gone
line
perfect.
up.
Gone perfect for
Cannon
Matt.
and Matt.
Matt's in business.
Oh, Steve will be disappointed there. He scratched around there. He made 104, gutsy break. Very disappointed to let Matt back at the table with 6 minutes to go. So 705 to 1151 at the moment.
Well,
Matty will be out to keep this as simple as he can to play out this last 6 minutes. He's left this a little bit awkward.
if he can finish off at the table, he's likely to be roughly where he started. At the moment, it appears that Steve's ahead in the session.
Yes.
And has closed the gap a little, so Matt needs to hold the table here and they'll finish off much where they started. Which
That
puts
was
Steve theoretically in striking distance because
Yeah.
Matthew put that on him in the first session, so it's still anything can happen.
Absolutely. This is crucial. 5 minutes here. Plays out the bell, leaves them set up, then he's in the position to go on with it. Yes, Steve be very, very disappointed he didn't play out that clock then. Matty made an important decision just now, that in-off red to cross loser, because the cannon was just a bit awkward. He was wanting to play it, but if he'd played it and not got the right contact, he could be back sitting on his backside.
Collision here.
Oh.
That could have been better.
Again, that's that drop cannon theory. There is always that element of risk of
Yeah.
what you're left with.
18.
Yeah. Be relatively happy with that. I think.
Yeah.
Little cannon, push the red over the pocket.
20.
Would like to get the white. Oh, the white's on, the in-off's on the white. Important he got it out into the table, in the middle of the table a bit, so he could play it, but he's going to hit it now. So
Well, it's okay. You can spot white here. And
It's got options. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the people learning the game, it's got the balls together.
run through off the white here.
Yeah, I think that's what he wanted to do. Pop it out in the middle of the table.
27.
3 minutes to go. He'll be thinking just keeping them simple and play out the clock and walk up to an easy shot after the break. And 3 minutes is a long time in billiards.
Yes,
I'd like to get to stay at the table for 3 minutes, Peter, wouldn't you?
absolutely.
I've never seen you stay there for 3 minutes yet.
Not in my life.
Unless you're double balked and you can't make your mind up with the play safe.
That's right, or I'm sitting in my chair. But I've been in the chair for more than 3 minutes.
32.
Now again, he played that white because it's more important to get that in the right spot than the red. And if he didn't, he still had the red to bring down to the white. Now he'll bring the red down over the middle as well. And that avoids him having to play the drop cannon and go to the top.
So does he take another loser off red first?
Yeah.
Bring it a little closer.
After having missed one pot into the middle because he had it too far away, he'll definitely want it closer.
But not so that
Ooh,
it interferes.
Don't smother. Ooh. Ouch. Oh, he's got enough.
He's got enough.
Yeah, he's fine.
That's pretty perfect.
I was too scared to say it before he played it, but that was a crucial pot just then. They're not as easy as they look, and that's the difference between him being at top when the bell rings or sitting back on his backside if he misses that. Overhit it.
Shake of the head.
Yeah, a bit of
Blow of the lips.
human pressure going up. Still, he's got a shot again. Won't be happy
That's
with
gone.
that.
47.
Well, I wouldn't even be looking at that. I'll just be playing the little pot in off red, or is he going to play to stay up here with the red? Yeah, okay. And that's just about time, I think. Oh, they did stop the clock, didn't they, for him to have a toilet break? .53 break here.
Looking for the angle on the white.
Yeah. I think he's gone too far for that, but he's got options here. Cannon in off red. Either of them. Crucial shot here because I think the bell's going to ring any minute, and you don't want to be walking back in here having to play a tricky little shot, first shot after the start of the session. You want to be walking in playing an absolute simple shot.
So now he's looking at the pot red and then the angle for in off the white.
Very important
Perfect.
here to get this spot on.
62.
I would be happy with that, Peter. A
You'd
little
be
bit
very
of a
happy.
tricky time with that white in baulk, and on 64 with the clock due to go any minute, he'll be very happy to walk out of the room. It's still at the table.
So up and down off the top cushion to leave a drop cannon.
66.
Yes, it would be ideal to play this shot before the bell. As I say, this is a classic drop cannons. They look easy, but it's all about the result. And if you've been playing for 2 hours, it's a lot easier to hit than walking in the room cold. Oh, there you go. Maybe they're not as easy.
Mm.
Dear, dear. Screwing off, Fred?
Hard to get his Q-tip onto the ball there, isn't it? Got to come down at a very acute angle.
Oh dear. Yeah, bit of emotion there. That was a drop cannon. It's the worst one he's played so far. Unusual for Matt to hit a red like that, you know, bounce back off the cush too hard. But there you go, that's the pressure of it all.
That's right. Can Steve get in off this one? I think he can. Cushion first.
Oh,
Oh.
dear. Oh, pressure
That
again of
hurts.
the emotion. He's absolutely cooked that. Got a fine off, Peter, on that angle?
No, I think he has.
They look a lot finer than they are when you've got less than a minute on the clock. And you think, I get it, I'm in. Oh, he's looking at a big one there. That's a... He could go negative and pot him and double
Well, that's
balk
right.
here, and
Leave him something to think about
you know,
though, for the
you
next half hour over a cup of coffee. Oh, no,
it's
he
a
managed to
lovely
get
shot.
through that.
I mean, if he had pot and double balk, don't forget, this guy's going for his 16th national.
Yes.
And sometimes you've just got to do that. You've got to be ruthless. The great Bill Barry used to say, no use putting them in the coffin if you don't shut the lid and bang the great big nails in. And so true.
And the
There's
bell goes.
the session.
There's the session.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil. It's been illuminating having Matt's dad in commentary with us. Thank you very much for that. It's fantastic.
It's been great, Peter.
Cheers.
And really great to catch up with you.
And thank you, Dan, from Cuball TV for providing these wonderful facilities.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Those people who want to do a more significant amount can go on to ceosleepout.org.au and get themselves a tax refundable receipt on that website. But for anybody who's got loose change in their pocket, the lock box is available here, and if you're able to drop anything in, I appreciate that. Chris Viscotti will be grateful for any donation that you're able to make to support his aim of trying to reach somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 in his efforts to sleep out on Thursday night. Thank you very much, and see you in half an hour.
It's champagne snow, that? Yeah? Yeah. What's that mean? Skier speak. You wouldn't know. Sorry, Mr. Skier. I ski. Yeah? Well, you any good? I've watched people do it.
Jam stall, jam stall. Fig jam, fig and ginger. Whoa. Lemon butter.
Let's talk about a more prosperous tomorrow. A tomorrow where your finances, property investments, property management, accounting, and financial planning are looked after in an exceptional capacity, all under the same roof. A tomorrow that works at your pace, where there's no overt pressure to make investment and financial decisions. A tomorrow where these processes are seamless, where someone is always there to support your financial and investment needs. At Reventon, our company's values are what ensure we remain distinctive to our customers. Integrity, passion, quality, leadership, customer experience. When hiring Reventon, you are hiring a team of professionals to support you in your investment and financial decisions. Whether you have been with us since 2005 or you're looking to purchase your first investment property, your future is Reventon's future. So, let's talk about a more prosperous tomorrow today.